Okay, so we just finished week 4 of the NFL season, and now pretty much every team has shown their true colors to us, for better or for a lot of teams out there, for worse. What an embarrassment. Detroit just rolled straight out of the hospital bed and came into Wisconsin and f***ed as much up as they could, turning what should have been a heated divisional game into, hey, let's just see how many times David Montgomery's body can handle the genius HB dive in one game. Pretty much everything that could have gone wrong for the Packers early on at least did. Their O-line got dissected alive, the offense was stale, and the best part about every Green Bay drive was seeing what creative new way Aaron Jones would find to get smashed into the turf this time. And even when the Packers defense got their weakness policy activated in the second half, as they do, I guess, the Lions learned from other teams' past sins and just killed the whole quarter on one drive. A very, very good win, Detroit, but I gotta say, we need a close game on Thursday Night Football. Well, one more game like this might just set me over the edge, so let's see. Who do we got next week on Thursday? Oh. No. For those of you that decided it was a good investment of your time to wake up a little bit earlier and watch this game, you f***ed up. Because this I'm done. I'm done. This singular individual, this flesh vessel, is ruining this team. He's just terrible. He's horrible at football. I can't believe I ever had faith in Desmond Ridder, but even his biggest haters couldn't have imagined any worse play than the he's been regurgitating back up. It's the same thing as last week. He'll just stare down his first read like a mildly disappointing JV quarterback, then proceeds to miss the dude anyways, and jogs to the sideline just to restart the process next drive. I'm sure there are thousands of Falcon fans that would commit unspeakable acts just to have a guy like Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, or, I don't know, maybe Taylor Heineke put out there on the field for them. Yet just someone who's good enough. Because if Atlanta just had a game manager who could do his job, the Falcons have all the pieces to fool people into thinking they're just the 2019 Titans in red. And meanwhile, while the fire was brewing, the Jags just coasted while the Falcons incinerated themselves to death. A solid bounce back game, but we're at the point where I'm starting to worry about Trayvon Walker's development. But I guess Josh Allen apparently has enough talent in his two big burly arms to make up for both of them. Wow, what a statement. Just a statement win. Nothing more, nothing less. All week long, all we've been getting shoved down our throats is, oh, the Dolphins offense, one of the best offenses of the last whatever years, 70 points, Tua for MVP, all of this, all of that. And Josh Allen came out there, flopped his meat on the table, and just shattered that hype train. The Bills simply won't lose a game if they keep playing like this. 31 points. They scored 31 points in the first half and made it look easy, and the Dolphins just had a rough day. The O-line catching Ravenitis is probably the last thing you want to see as a Dolphins fan, and sitting back with your bottle of hard liquor already down by an ungodly amount of points as you watch Tua stay in the game taking 4 sacks cannot be a great feeling. Things were bad, but just remember, they could have been worse, and Buffalo, I'm sorry, but you know how this goes. You don't get a huge win like this without paying a toll, so hopefully sacrificing Tre'Davious White's soul was worth it, because, to be honest, that might be the last we'll ever see of him in the NFL. Oh, Lord! Yeah, no, that's it. It's rant time. The Vikings, good win, good stuff. You got your first win of the season. Harrison Smith found the fountain of youth or whatever, and Jefferson's still good, but, Carolina, what are we doing here? You just faced off against the Minnesota Vikings defense. A team that just allowed Keenan Allen to play flag football last week for the entire game, and your offense mustered a grand total of 6 points and 0 touchdowns whatsoever. You dumb f***s are going to ruin Bryce Young if he hasn't been ruined already. And look, does he have his flaws as a quarterback? Of course, but what do you want your young NFL quarterback to do in his 4th ever game when all of his receivers are clamped because they suck and their scheme is terrible and his offensive line led by Icky's unprecedented regression ain't giving him much help either? Even if Bryce isn't the savior like CJ Stroud looks to be, I'm not sure Carolina could be doing a better job of trying to stunt the man's development. Frank Wright still sucks and has continued to suck, pretty much losing a possession near the end of the first half, and letting Harrison Smith end it all was just so fitting for this game, but Hey, according to them, it's all fine. All the Panthers need to do is trade for, like, Chase Claypool and all will be well. So, I already lost my hate boner for the Bears after that masterclass last week versus Kansas City, but to sum up this game versus the Broncos, let me set the stage for you. Let me set the goddamn scene. 2 minutes and 57 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter. The Bears roll out onto the field when the whole globe knows they're bluffing on 4th down, and a field goal was obviously the call, but hey, maybe the Bears could go for it, but they decided not to snap the ball with the element of surprise in their favor. Fine, okay, sure, whatever. So then, they call a timeout, where after the timeout, here comes the offense back onto the field once more. After carefully analyzing Denver's defense and deciding a field goal isn't worth it, they must have a 100% easy first down. A brilliant play call, right? Shotgun HB dive. Shotgun, halfback, dive. This is why your team has lost 14 games in a row. This is how you're able to blow a 21-point lead to a team whose morale was lower than any other team since the 1960s. And you know what the best part about this was? This wasn't even an overly impressive underdog come-from-behind win or whatever for the Broncos. I mean, Russ played pretty well again, but come on, being down 28-7 to the Bears is one of the lowest lows a human being can ever find themselves at. Justin Fields just played one of, if not his best game ever, and you still can't beat even the Broncos. Yeah. You know, well, to be fair, once Sean Payton gave up half of his remaining lifespan for Bill Belichick's powers, then I guess you guys didn't stand a chance.
It's chilling down time.
This game had absolutely zero offensive consistency. It began with Stafford just having some fun out there while McVay carved up the Colts' so-called pass defense from the sideline. But once the second half began, the Rams just quit, and Anthony Richardson slowly brought the Colts back to life, making those explosive plays he does from time to time. But the Colts made one mistake. They injured Matthew Stafford. Come on, you gotta know better than that. And after Money Maher did his thing and made the game more competitive than it should have been, of course Stafford, with no hip, stayed in the game and brought the Rams down the field to find Puka Nacua for the game-winning touchdown. Just the textbook definition of an ugly, ugly win between two teams who are kind of just waiting for their best star player on offense to kind of come back and save them. And even with that, though, there are still a lot of positives from both sides. For the Rams, they did a much better job of protecting Stafford than last week, and the Colts, Anthony Richardson actually started and finished the game, which is a massive improvement from his previous tendencies. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. This is the last time I'm gonna say this. Joe Burrow is injured. He's hurt. Just don't put him in the game until he's ready to play. Please, just let the man rest. Now that I got that out of the way, you know, that's actually just sort of all there is to say about this game. Derrick Henry just bullied the Bengals defense, taking full advantage of the massive time of possession difference, and the sheer excitement in my face when I saw Jeffrey Simmons in the backfield was immeasurable. I would have lost my shit if they threw that unit a 50-50 ball. The Bengals are just a mess, so one more time, I beg you, Cincinnati, let Joe rest. Trust me, it'll be worth it by week 15, but, you know, in the meantime, feel free to install a better offense anytime you want. What a game. I guess Sam Howell is just that guy now, and watching him play, he really reminds me a lot of a young Derek Carr, and to go up against this generational Eagles D-line and not even look a little bit scared is not something to gloss over, especially after a ton of guys would have just lost all confidence in themselves after the Buffalo Massacre of 23, but Samuel Howell did not, except, you know, the way that I'm talking about the Commanders, you would think they won this game, but they didn't. Unfortunately for the Commanders, the Eagles are just better, and although they had 11 penalties, drew up the worst plays possible at the worst times, and ran far too many inefficient Jalen Hurts draws for my liking, hey, a win is a win. But you know, I just keep thinking while watching these Eagles that last year's team just had this sort of edge to them, almost like a swagger that I feel like is missing from them so far, and you know, I thought it was Jalen Hurts playing a little bit off, but he just had a great game, and that wasn't it either, so I don't know, maybe trading for Budda Baker could do it, but we'll see. I'm probably wrong because, you know, a 4-0 record does speak for itself. Well, Derek Carr shouldn't have played today. He simply just shouldn't have been on the field. I don't know how he was cleared to be near grass today in a helmet because 13 catches for Kamara and 1 for Olave says all there needs to be said about their offense. I don't know how Jameis could have possibly done worse than 37 pass attempts for just 127 yards. And meanwhile, the Bucs just got it done today. They did just enough to win the game. Antoine Winfield, Vita Vea, and the rest of the defense were just making plays, figuring out that Derek Carr's kryptonite turns out to just be putting pressure on him. And they did that enough to make the Saints an unwatchable offense the entire day. I'm honestly just terrified for you Saints. We're not in rant territory yet, but I am very, very worried. If this keeps up, I don't think this team is ever going to break 30 points in a single game. And you're not going to come anywhere close to winning the division unless things take a drastic change in the right direction. Well, without Cosby out there, the show does not go on. I mean, the Browns just got put in the slow cooker for 60 minutes straight with Lamar doing Lamar things, and honestly, that's just about it. Nothing to really take away from this game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson looked like a prime DeShone Kizer out there, and this game was basically just a hospital fight between a dude in a wheelchair and an old man on life support, and the man with the vehicle copped the dub.
Why does he have a job?
Speaking of blowouts, oh my god, Kenny Pickett is terrible. Things were so bad that by the time he got punctured, I'm not even sure Steelers fans were upset, and I guess things can still mathematically get worse on offense with the kisser of titties getting at least a finger or two on this team's crusty-ass steering wheel, but, you know, maybe there's some hope there, somehow. I don't know, Pittsburgh, I'm grasping for straws here, but for the Texans, you guys just blew out an NFL team. Take it in. Usually, this is the point in the season where I'll say, hey, you got a nice young developing quarterback and all that. Just have a good year. But no. You guys have a star quarterback now. And not only that, but you got dangerous receivers too. And once that defense gets fully healthy, this is a team that just ripped apart Jacksonville the week before. And if they can post a winning record going into their Week 7 bye, winning the division is a very realistic goal for this team. Well done, Houston. I'm so impressed.
It's hard to lose. Just keep it 100. It's hard to lose, man.
So, this next installment of Raiders football began when we decided to cut Chandler. We cut Chandler Jones. I mean, he's saying is just beyond unhinged now. I would say I hope he gets the help he needs, but I don't know, this is just such a Raiders situation to the point where I'm not even sure what's going on at this point. And for those of you following the cycle of the Raiders, Chandler Jones also fulfilled his duties just before he got shown the door and found himself arrested before we ever got rid of him. So, hey, you know where we're at right now. This game, we were blessed with Aiden O'Connell playing football, who so clearly wasn't even close to be ready to be out there, but whatever, it's better than the Hoyer, and despite the Chargers not even being particularly good, the Raiders buried themselves in mistakes and Raider moves to slice themselves across the neck in the second quarter. Don't be fooled by the score of this game, it was never close outside of the last couple of seconds, and Khalil Mack just continues to be fueled by rage or something. I don't know, maybe he's trying to get revenge for what Mark Davis did to his wife, I guess, and if Herbert didn't just lose his finger on this interception, I don't think the Chargers would have scored 0 points in the second half. In conclusion, because this was a Raiders vs. Chargers game, of course it had to end with a horrible miscommunication and interception. So when that happens, in order to keep your young quarterback's confidence up when he's struggling with fumbles and ball security and whatnot, the only logical thing to do as the team's leader and head coach would be to just completely blame the man for everything that went wrong. Okay, yep, I'm doing it. I quit. We didn't fire Josh McDaniels, so that's it. I'm penciling our name into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Welcome, Raiders. We're done. That's the season. It's over. It's all over just like that. What a disaster, New England. Just a cataclysmic loss. You lost Christian Gonzalez, you lost Matthew Judon, Mac Jones reverted back to his previous form, and Bill Belichick just got teabagged worse than ever before. What else do you even want me to say? This is what the Cowboys do. They're really, really confusing. That's it. For the rest of the year, they might just blow a real football team out or lose against one of the worst in the NFL. I don't think your season's done quite yet, New England, but if this does happen next week versus the Saints, then we have a real problem. Yeah! And another blowout. I mean, it was sort of close-ish for like a few minutes when it was 0-0, but the 49ers just did what good teams do, and they demolish awful teams. And luckily for them, they get to face these birds one more time later on for another free win. Just like the Chiefs versus Bears, it got to the point where the 49ers just seemed bored out there. McCaffrey's really good, the defense is really good, the 49ers are a good team, believe it or not. Nothing more needs to be said.
I can't believe that.
I don't even know how to explain this game, to be honest with you. If I was told to explain it to someone who didn't watch this game, I'm not sure how I would do it. The Chiefs started out looking great, and it looked like the game was just going to be over in the second quarter, and everyone probably just turned off their TVs. Then Zach Wilson looked good. Okay, good is probably a stretch of the word. He kind of just played like a bottom 20 quarterback out there, which is probably the nicest thing I've ever said about Zach Wilson, but eventually, with the help of the defense, the Jets were able to crawl back into this game and almost beat the Chiefs, but ref ball. I'm not blaming the entire game on the refs or anything close to that, but there were definitely a lot of penalties in the game as a whole, and the game would have been more entertaining if the refs just kind of called the same penalties consistently throughout the course of the game. So the Chiefs got a win, but for the Jets, the question becomes way more interesting in what are you going to do with Zach Wilson? Because he kind of just proved for like a quarter or whatever that he can sometimes be a competent NFL quarterback, but that wasn't good enough for me. I'm going to need to see a lot more out of him to make the Jets not go get another guy. All right, Monday Night Football. It's been nothing but great all year, but this time at least I get to watch Jamal Adams play again, and he's hurt. Okay, well, maybe we'll get a competitive game at least between the Giants, who are struggling to find their identity, and the Seahawks, who are still ascending, and the game's over. How do they keep doing this? How do the Giants keep finding new ways to be worse and worse every week? This game had easily one of the most incompetent special teams performances I've ever seen in my life, and I'm telling you, one of these days Daniel Jones is just going to be reported as missing and Brian Daboll will mysteriously resign while his registered pump shotgun has disappeared. I'll say it again, I thought the Giants were going to be bad, but holy man, they are so terrible. And to wrap up this whole week 4, we're doing a new segment where we ask you guys, the community on Discord, what you think some of the best plays and best players were from this week. So the best play from week 4, according to you guys, was Puka Nacua's game-winning touchdown. The best game from the week was the Commanders versus Eagles. Not too much competition there. The best standout player from this week was Khalil Mack, who did pretty well against the Raiders, I guess. The worst team performance from week 4 was the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the worst individual single-player performance was Mac Jones. And I also asked you guys how you feel about big men, and you responded with, oh yeah. So there's that. And anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one. And if you like this video, then make sure you've watched this video that I just did on how the Chiefs built a dynasty from nothing. It's pretty good, trust me. Anyways, until next time.